Honorable Senator Faki.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to say that I fully associate myself with my colleagues' position, Senator Sifuna, Senator Veronica, and Senator Eddy. Number two, the 346 billion deficit is a projection. It's not that already the government has incurred a deficit of 346 billion. It's a projection. Number three, last year, the revenue which was collected was 2.288 trillion out of a projection of 2.46 trillion. So you cannot tell us that this year we need to go below what was given last year, because already the projections show that although we could not reach the target, but the revenue that was raised was far much higher than what was initially projected for the financial year. The issues here is that we are mediators. We are not taking any side. We are mediators, and we should approach these issues with an open mind. Whereas the national government is able to borrow in the event of a deficit, the county governments are not able to borrow anything. They just stick by what is given and what they are able to collect from their own source revenue. So what I will propose, Chair, is that Joint Chair, is that we should retain the 4.1 billion that was agreed upon about 4 months ago, because nothing has changed. The situation has not changed to warrant maybe a rethinking of the amounts from 400.1 billion to 385. Last year, they said the government said that it was not able to raise the full 385. It was only able to disburse 380 billion, and the amount was carried over. We have no problem maybe for this year if they carry over whatever amounts that will not have been disbursed by the end of the financial year. But what we are saying is that we cannot set a precedent of reducing the amount that is going to our counties, because that will create a bad precedent. Next year, as you can see from the shareable revenue from 2013 up to 2024, we are going down. We are not going up, we are going down. Although the amounts are higher, but percentage-wise, we are coming down. We came down from 26% in 2013, and now we are at 15%, almost 10 or 11 percentage digits that we have been able to go down. So I know most of our colleagues from National Assembly aspire to be governors, and in fact many of them in the last parliament have moved on to become governors, but we are not assisting devolution by reducing these amounts. We have a role, yes, to play in oversighting the governors, but again, we should not be reducing funds, because if you reduce the money that is supposed to pay the CHWs, the machines which were bought by MES, which have been doing very good work. Some hospitals didn't do dialysis, but because of the MES medical equipment scheme, we're able to do dialysis. X-rays were being done in far-off areas. So if we are going to reduce this amount, what are we telling those people who have been benefiting from such health facilities in rural areas? You get somebody from Wajir to Nairobi to do a dialysis, or get somebody from Mandera to Nairobi to do a dialysis. That's not fair to those people who are living in those far-flung areas, which are being supported by the devolved funds. Thank you.
Honorable Ochieng.
Thank you so much, Chair. I have a couple of issues to raise. And I'll start by saying that for the first time in my 3 terms in Parliament, this week, I spoke against the Senate. All the 11 years, whenever an issue arose on the National Assembly between Senate and National Assembly, I always sided with the Senate until this week. So that mistrust, Honorable Sifuna, is mutual. It's mutual. You don't think we trust you much. And it may go on that way if we don't handle our matters in a manner that furthers the interests of the people we serve. As Yvonne and I were in America recently, our candidate lost, unfortunately. It's a sad situation. But in that country, for over 250 years now, the Senate has never taken the House of Reps to court, and vice versa. The House of Reps have never taken the National Assembly, the Senate, to court. In 250 years, no single time. If there are issues, they sit down there, we are sitting down today, and talk them out. Even when they are trying to go to court, the courts have always rebuffed them. The courts have always told them, no, on these matters of your competence, jurisdiction, go back, mediate, get a way out. So I believe, chairpersons, that this is the right forum to discuss anything that deals with the issues that have been brought before our church. So let's not try to shirk responsibility in that regard. Let's try to get a best solution that can hit this. And I just wanted to give a small snippet on why. Because you said you wanted to know how the National Assembly thinks. From the time the Senate started going to court on matters devolution, there's always been this defensive posture, both by the Senate and National Assembly. And you've seen it here this morning. That from the National Assembly, we believed that in fact you should not even sit if you're not dealing with RMLF. So we bring so many extraneous issues to bear on the matters we're dealing with on a daily basis. You know, something happens in Shakahola. Senate has no out of mandate. National Assembly Committee is trying to deal with the matter, but then the following day we see the Senate has set up a special committee to go and deal with Shakahola without capacity to even follow up on implementation. So these are issues that we'll have to deal with going forward if we are to make this. I'm just saying this in terms of, I'm sure you're going to have a chance to say something in Senior. I'm just laying the ground on why the mistrust. Because the mistrust was raised by a senator. The mistrust is because we see this happening all the time, and so we are not able to know who should deal with what, when, and where. That is the problem we are having today. And so I want us to have that in context. And my posture all these years has been that, like what my chair said, we serve the same people. The counties have not some people that they serve, and then MPs serve some people. It's the same people. And if you ask any citizen about how the two of us work, they'll tell you they don't care. They just want the services. If it's water, they want water. If it's health services, they want health services. So they would require us to sit down like we're sitting down now, quarrel, disagree, agree, and then at the end of the day, let them have clean water. And I think that is the posture we should take in this regard by my honorable chairs. This pairing is very healthy. Allowing senators to say what they have in their hearts and us is very healthy, because then this is how democracy grows. I believe guys will come, the senators will come after us, and national assemblies will come after us, probably will get a better stage to deal with than we are dealing today. And Chair, there are common issues that have been raised on both sides that I glean personally. Like one, clause 5, about moving the burden of resources. I personally believe it's illegal. But we should set it as a matter that both ourselves, Senate and National Assembly, want to deal with as an issue of mediation. Then we handle it here. I believe, because I've read the Constitution, I'm reading Article 10, that we recently used to impeach Gachagua. Then I'm reading Article 201, Sub 2, and 2018. The focus is on revenue raised nationally being divided equitably. So the focus in the Constitution all through is national revenue. There's nowhere where you're going to ask counties to start bearing burdens of loss on revenue. But I thought that maybe we can highlight it as an issue that we can deal with as a mediation issue, because it's been brought before us. I've been debated. What is the best way to deal with it? Then we'll go to the figures, an issue that was raised by Noble Sifuna, which I agree also with absolutely. where I sit, and I'm sorry to say this again, my fellow chairs, I believe 346 is a phantom figure. But it's a baseline. Can we discuss and agree? How did we get 346? Can it be reduced down further? And if it can be reduced, up to how much? The third issue that we need to deal with, chairs, is whether it's true that the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024 indeed led or has led to revenue shortfalls. If we both agree on that, on both sides, I'm sure we'll get a way forward. Because refusing to accept the fact that we didn't pass a finance bill this year, yet finance bill will not give us money, then of course, we'll, in my opinion, we'll be putting our heads under the sand. It's indeed true that we don't have a finance act this year. So can, for example, the finance people tell us, is it true the shortfall is 346 or is it lower than 346? And if that be the case, what can national government absorb? This week, fellow chairs, my honorable chairs, this week, KRA said they have surpassed their target by 6 billion. This week we are in today. Is it possible that going forward, they would surpass those targets further? What are the economic indicators? So that even if you're going to get money away from the 400 billion, how further down can we go without undermining the national interest, because that is also in the Constitution, without undermining national interest? Chair, I'm just saying this thing so that we're able to set some proper parameters, even if it's 4 issues or 5, that you can deal with as mediation issues and then sort them out. Then once we are done with those, then can we deal with the extraneous issues that the honorable chair has also raised? So we've agreed, for example, that we are doing 390 billion. And then members of the National Assembly are saying, even if you add a single cent and you don't deal with RMLF, we're not passing. How do you go about that? Do you have a recommendation to make on that issue? But I would like that we deal with the issues on DORA first, then we deal with the external issues that may undermine the success of what we'll agree on, Chair. Those are my proposals, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me go to Honorable Sifuna. Then we go to Honorable Dr. Chikati.
Yeah, Chair, I thank Honorable Ochieng because I think he has tried to frame the issues, and I hope that they were being noted. And if we proceeded in the manner that he has proposed, I think we'll make some headway. I just wanted a further clarification on that 380 billion shillings that we sought to raise through the Finance Bill of 2024, the one that was rejected. If I remember the discussion, that 380 was being sought for specific purposes. If we can go back to the justification why the national government wanted that extra 380, we would be able to find if it is indeed true that there were any county programs in that one that then would inform the discussion of this is the reason why we wanted the 380. We don't have the 380, so the reasons we wanted the 380 cannot proceed because we don't have the 380. But to hit the entire budget of the county governments, in fact, to a figure that is less than last year, is to do a great disservice to the people of Kenya. Devolution. Also, I hope that it has been noted from the perspective of the Senate. I now understand that, and David Ochieng has put it very well, that we cannot run away from this question of RMLF because you have people to report back to, your colleagues in the National Assembly. Also, we want you to note something that I said, that there is no way I can go back to the Senate with a figure less than what the county governments got last year. I hope last financial year. Once we agree on that, then we know the areas to touch and the things not to touch, and we will proceed. And we'll be asking the experts themselves to bring us that data on the justification for the 380 in the finance bill, and therefore the projects that should collapse if we don't get it.
Very good. You see, now when we are continuing in a very objective manner from honorable members, Honorable Makali, my brother and co-principal in Kenya Kwanza, and party leader, and Senator Funa, we will make headway because we are here informed, leaders. I think in good faith, we continue in the same trajectory. We also iron out the controversial issue, and we face it head on, whatever that is. Chair, over to you.
Dr. Chikati, as you take...
thank you.
Just a minute. Following
yes.
up on Honorable Sifuna, there are some fundamental things that we must continue to think about as we debate about the figures. One is that in the budget making process, the figures that I referred to Honorable Sifuna are the figures that constitute now the whole budget of Kenya. And those figures are not just figures. They are roads, there's water, it's healthcare. They are based on something. But now there are issues that we have to deal with as we progress in this objective manner. One is that the things that constitute the budget of Kenya include all the direct expenditure by the national government, but also includes all the other expenditures even by the county governments. So what I'm trying to say is that amending a component of the budget cannot give it legal basis, and especially when you are made upwards, until you are made the entirety. If I want to raise the budget for roads, I can raise it on paper if there was a legal instrument that only allocates roads. But if the entirety of the budget is still capped, then you hit a brick ceiling or you hit a concrete ceiling. So that's one thing that is very fundamental. That DORA, the Division of Revenue Bill, is a creation of one thing called CARA. Now, County Allocation of Revenue Bill is the one that precipitates DORA. Sorry, it's the other way around, sorry. And therefore, what I'm trying to say, amending one has a ramification of the next. Now, as it is passed and signed by the President, it is at 380, the CARA.
No, he didn't sign. He returned.
Sorry, yes. The one he returned with the memorandum. For us to redo that, you need to listen to these members. We have to raise to that in both houses. I'm not saying it is something so difficult. I'm just saying for us to prepare ourselves. Second thing, amending what is before us today as it was passed by the National Assembly. Suppose there are some things we are not debating in this meeting because we have already agreed. One, we have agreed county government needs more money. That is not debatable. We have agreed our community health promoters needs to be paid. That is not debatable. In fact, we should not be having arrears. We agree our county staff have not been paid for months. They must be paid. We agree on the funding of county government, even with additional resources. We set that aside. We are not debating on that. But what I want us to engage our mind in is, if we are made, for example, in this mediation, our recommendation is that we move from 380 to even 410. I want us to apply our mind on that. That can only take effect if we again come back and do a supplementary tool that gives that room. If we are made downwards, there's no problem because it's a matter of disbursement. If we are made upwards, it is not a matter of disbursement. It is a matter of legality. So we need to, you note that if we agree on the figure, then we also have to handle that on the supplementary. And lastly, so that Dr. Chikati comes in, the shortfall of revenue that we put, this was the context, honorable members. This year has been unprecedented. So the argument of the National Assembly was this: if we allocate 400 billion to county governments, and our revenue projection, because we did with projections in the budget, was 2.5 trillion. Suppose there is a year that is as unprecedented as this one, and we have a shortfall of $1 trillion in revenues. We have a shortfall of 500 billion, beyond what we have always thought can be, or the limit. So our argument was, supposing that came, and we have a shortfall of 700 billion. So Honorable Sifuna, what does that mean? We will have carryovers. Honorable members, this issue of carryovers is actually an under budgeting. That's what we must know. Why? The county governments were to get 385 billion shillings. They got 355 by the close of the financial year. And you know, government is continuous, it's a revolving door. So any money you get after the close of the period, that is money that you are expecting on the next financial year. It becomes even difficult if that perpetuates. If we have a shortfall this financial year and we have carryovers of 50 billion, if we have a perpetual 30 billion or 50 billion, we carry as carryovers. Honorable members, let's not lie to ourselves. It basically means the allocation for revenue for our county governments is the figure in the budget. That's the carryovers. That is the truth. Honorable Dr. Chikati, please.
Thank you, Chair. I want to agree with the
Chair is requesting, he gives you the pleasure to invite you.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, the point of information my co-chair gave, I just want to add a small bit of legal, information that we also need to be cognizant of. Officially, the mediation has begun today. Legally, we have 30 days within which we need to agree or disagree. But if it does not happen within the 30 days, then this flops completely on DORA. So this amendment bill dies, natural death. And then what does that translate to? The substantive Division of Revenue Act, as assented to in law, will remain in place. However, the precarious situation that my co-chair discussed, which is that bit of the information was what I needed to add, is that then CARA has to be resubmitted. But for us to override the memorandum of the president, we need 2/3 in both houses for it to pass. In the actual sense, it is a very complicated situation ahead that we really need to deal with. If we disagree, the default act for DORA will be in place, and then passage of CARA also will become susceptible to extreme politics, which becomes a challenge. Honorable Karibu.
Thank you, Chair. I want to agree with you on one thing, on asking us to be objective in our discussions. And I think one of the issues of objectivity here is, do we share what we have or what we don't have? Do we want figures on papers, and so that it remains at that level? Or we want to be realistic and say, this is the shortfall in terms of revenue collection, and therefore sharing of any revenue is based on what is available. Okay? So that you look at that 400 billion as against 380. Okay? Because what is being advanced is that what is available from our side is what should be shared. The second thing, Chair, you allow me to think loud. Here there is a court case on RMLF, and here there is need for discussion on the division of the revenue bill. Okay? First of all, the court case implies this mistrust. Okay? Why should you discuss with people you mistrust? These are the questions that we need to look at. Why can't you withdraw the court case so that you give an environment of free discussions? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Ndindi was speaking. He says that this is an unprecedented year. But Honorable Ochengi has just said that KRA has reported a surplus of 6 billion this month in actuals versus projections. They have reported a surplus of 6 billion. They have over collected by 6 billion. So that means things are looking up very well. The other thing I wanted to point out is that at the time the budget was being discussed early in February, the exchange rates were at 160 to the dollar, 160 shillings to the dollar. Now we're at 129. So things are looking very well for this country.
Chair.
Mheshimiwa Udo.
Chair, I just want to correct the senator from Mombasa. We need to aggregate for the whole year. One-off situation alone cannot excite us to a point we believe things are okay. Even if you look at the World Bank analysis of the Kenyan economy and IMF, it's fairly negative. It's not positive. So one-off should not really bring us some form of excitement that cannot hold water over the long run. Secondly, and the chair of your co-chair has raised a fundamental issue. We have already passed the appropriation bill. It's an act of parliament. And it came to us through a presidential memorandum, and the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution made it very clear for anybody to override the presidential memorandum, you need majority, a constitutional majority. And looking at the process, we normally pass the appropriation bill, then we pass DORA. It's the other way around. Yes, we already passed. Because the National Assembly already passed, it came here, and the other one is already passed. Now, we want us to look at the technicality, the challenges that we have. If we agree, if in any way we agree on an increase, we means we have to amend the appropriation bill, which is not possible in the circumstances. So we just need to be very clear. And also just wanted to clarify on the issue of KIPE. KIPE is discretionary. It's not mandatory for all counties. I say so because I see it in the Committee of Trade, Industry and Cooperative that oversights this program. It's discretionary. Actually, as we stand now, we are only dealing with 18 counties. Not all the 47 counties have got this program. So again, being included here as one of the reasons they need extra money is not really the issue. It's discretionary, it's not mandatory. And as we clearly say, and as we have said, we are not the final arbiter in this matter. We will take it to the floor of the House. And I can tell you, without even lying to you, if I lie to you, it would be unfair. That it will not see the light of the day until the elephant in the house is resolved. RLMF, I can assure you. It's good to tell you the truth. Instead of lying to you here, that we can pass it, then it will not. I can tell you the truth. So let's be realistic on this matter. And that's why we are saying, I totally don't agree with my SG. Article 96 is very explicitly clear. You represent the counties and the county governments. To tell us that we have no forum to engage the Council of Governors or the governors is then to abdicate. You are only given to you and Article 96. Sorry, I didn't go to law school, but I'm just reading as it is. Thank you.
Okay, so now, Kidogo, you know, anytime any member is making a statement that you don't agree with, don't react even emotionally. Just wait until you're given the opportunity to say something and you can say contrary. Senator Veronica. So we're doing 1-1. I'm coming to you.
Chair, thank you for the opportunity. Chair, first of all, let's get ourselves on a track that gives us progress into the issues. We first agree as a team. Do we want to push this process to a point where we are agreed on the process so that we don't stall the bill? Finally, we frame the issues the way Honorable Ochieng had led us. Let's frame the issues first. What are the issues that we want to canvass? Then we move through those issues one by one. And I propose, first of all, let's not put the RMF as a precondition for the mediation for this process. If we do that, we will be moving beyond the mandate because we were given a mandate by respective houses whom we respect. And I also want to maybe emphasize that every opinion is important and should be respected, however wrong that opinion should be. If a member says something which you don't agree with or you don't like, just respect it and be honorable around responding to that issue. Once we agree on those courtesies of the negotiation, and we agree that this whole team, made up of very competent members from both houses, cannot walk out of this process without a solution for Kenyans, we agree that we must finally come to a solution. We take that as one of the issues. Then we move progressively after having framed the issues that Honorable Ochieng had guided us very well. In fact, he needs to repeat those issues. Then we put them down. If there are 5, we move step by step until we finish the final one. The final one being, have we now agreed to stay with the 380 or are we agreed to keep the 400 billion? That should be the final issue. If we take it yes to 400 billion, we'll have found our solution. But if we move in we are casting our net so wide, we might never catch the fish we are looking for.
Okay, first, naturally, in the past mediations, I sent from my committee another member to sit in. This is the first mediation I sit in because of the level of controversy it carries. I want to, maybe there are 2 issues I'll give you, Honorable Kiplagat. It is natural for us to have this preliminary engagement before we frame out the issues. It's very natural. So and it's very objective as it is. So we finish that. We'll have a few minutes break, just few minutes, so that both sides can agree that we move to framing of the issues. But because I can see on the side of the Senate, we are on the issue. On the side of National Assembly, at least 2 members out of the 5 that were here hold a different view, so that we're able to move. Otherwise, if we move to framing the issue and then the members take, every time you speak, you will be taking back to the issue of RMLF, then we are not making any progress. And with that in mind, I want to persuade you that I give Honorable Kiplagat the last chance to say something. Okay, Senator Sifuna, you will be the last. And then, Co-Chair, I want to request that we have a few minutes break. So we agree on moving to framing of the issue or calling off the meeting, for that matter.
Okay. A slightly different opinion. Very slight. I would really want us to finish up with this matter because a lot is clogging out of this process. But this is the but. The buck is not stopping here. That is the truth of the matter. The National Assembly is where I sit. I know the mood. So when you see these members talking, please, members, don't take it as their personal opinion. The last time what we did is this. We could borrow from it. The contentious issue in all the mediations, if you check, in all the minutes, is always the matter that we all know, and I'm not referring to it here. That issue that the members are raising. And from 2021, just check the minutes. There is always a case. Always. Even when we were debating on this one, there was a case. Even the previous one, there was a case. So in the year 2020, either 2020, 2021, or thereabout, maybe they can clarify, what happened is that in such a mediation, the president actually intervened, the then president. And what was agreed is that the exact amount that governors are losing for RMLF, they were given directly now in the DORA to compensate, because it's a fight of resources, which is a credible fight. Now, the question that now we faced the last time when we took the National Assembly, those who were there then were saying, but you already give this money directly through DORA. It may not explicitly read roads, but it was added in that context. Even the last mediation which I co-chaired, that was the case. The discussion was, there is a case. So we decided with our governors, I met them, the COG, They said, you look for a manner to give us some money. We know when you take to the National Assembly any issue around the RMLF, we know it will not pass. That was their word. But give us the resources through other routes. We give them through county additional allocation, SIGA. We give them 4 billion, but in hell. But it was compensating for this other loss. Now, when we go to the National Assembly, the question is, the 10 we packed in Dora is already there because it was never removed. We have now packed another 4 billion in SIGA to compensate for this other one. So I'm laying the facts bare as they are, the reasoning of the National Assembly. So in my opinion, whatever decision we make today, let us know the temperatures so that we fight, is it actually prudent to pass it today, or is it better to consult so that all stakeholders then agree before the meeting so that the meeting will just be for ratification? I'm just laying it bare. If we decide to go ahead, I am in it. If we don't, I'm also in it. And lastly, let's not run away from this issue of SIGA, saying RMLF is there. The trade-off, honorable members, in this kind of a discussion goes to SIGA and goes to Dora. When the COG has gone to court, we all know they have gone to court for bargaining. So the court is in SIGA. But the National Assembly also, what they have at heart is Dora. So let's also have that in mind.
Yes. Give Kiplagat something, and then Senator Sifuna, then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Chair. At least now I like the mood of the chair. So I don't want to go back on what happened now that the mood is good, and I can see we are heading in the right direction. Basically, because I didn't go to the substantive matter the other time, allow me to just agree with what my honorable members from the National Assembly have raised, and I will want to associate myself fully with those sentiments. One is that you will agree with me, Chair, we are in a precarious situation we have never found ourselves since independence, that we had a finance bill 2024 which was actually raising 342 billion for purposes of additional revenue, but because of what happened, which we all know, we don't need to labor on it on what happened, that bill did not go through. Then, basically, Chair, the act that we are currently using to collect our revenue is Finance Act 2023. So it follows naturally from the rule of natural justice, is that you will have to rewind ourselves, each level of government, including Parliamentary Service Commission, including judiciary, including the county government. They will have to rewind back from 2024 to 2023. So basically, if I flow with my comments, then I know Honorable Senator Sifuna will raise the issue of then the 385, which is now debatable, the 385 in 2023. So it's a matter now that we can debate as to, looking at the figures, what happened to the 5 billion. But in terms of agreeing ourselves that we need to rewind back to 2023, I think that is a common sense issue. It's a common sense issue. And even if I've seen what the senators are raising in terms of the additional requirements by the counties, which are a bit mandatory in terms of personal emoluments like housing levy, social NSSF. But basically, even the national government, they have those obligations. But the national government has been forced to cut their size by 325 billion But we are only telling the counties, because your fiscal space is a bit small, just cut it by 20 billion. So I think in terms of framing up issues, the way Honorable Cheng had put it up, is we need actually to agree, if we, I know all of us are sensible, is we go back to 2023. Then, having gone back to 2023, then figuratively we can be told now from, and the chair and my chair budget is there, why 380 and not 385. So I think that is a point of discussion. Secondly, as I finish, is that we are here to find a solution. And looking at it, the minefields in terms of legally where we are. Legally where we are, in terms of CARA, the president has given us a memoranda. That memoranda, we can either override through raising 2/3 in both houses, or the president's memoranda takes effect. Yeah. I don't know. So as we also look at the DORA, and I want to beg you, Chair, is that let all of us, we are in one government, especially now that we are in broad-based, we are in one government. Let us accept that we reduce the number of court cases and see where we are, because I can, from reading the Honorable Sifuna's mind, he can say that this is something that can be pursued in court as to happens when you have a DORA which is saying something else and you have a CARA which is saying something else. But we have a country to protect, we are a country to govern, we have a country to develop. And we all accept that what happened in this situation, nobody found themselves here, and all the other arms of government have accepted. The national government has accepted, the executive has accepted, the legislature has accepted, the judiciary has accepted. It's only one arm of government, the county government, that are still jittery on that issues of tightening our belt. So it is something that, looking at the legalistic issues that we have, whether even if we were to agree, to add maybe the 5 billion, how shall we add? And you have heard the chair saying that to add even 1 shilling, you have to do a lot of amendments in other fields. As I finish, my proposal is that after we have enumerated all the items that we need to agree on, I believe, using your wisdom, because you also don't want to be a chair of a mediation committee that failed. Using your wisdom and your previous work experience as a governor, why don't you take this weekend? You have had us from the National Assembly. You have our EPO chair there who was pursued, and he found a way of addressing that matter. You retreat. Then, as we look at the issues that we are coming to see, including what Honorable Cheng has raised, that revenue miraculously is going up, but I believe you cannot look at 1 month revenue, because it is a month to month. They accumulate. Maybe there is something that happens, taxpayers were paying, and maybe the next month they will shrink a bit. So we need to also get from the Treasury what is actually the outlook in terms of revenue collection. So all this data that we need for us to be able to make a conclusive agreement, we use over this weekend. We make sure that by Monday or Tuesday, if we meet, we have all the data that we need. Secondly, all the items we have agreed that we need to mediate on, we have agreed. But you have taken now that step outside, which is a feeling, it's a feeling in the National Assembly. You take it over the weekend, go somewhere with your governors and things like that, and come with the good news, so that as we debate and we are at least in a fresh air, kind of. Thank you,
Senator Sifuna, and then we want to take that break. Senator Sifuna.
Chair, the co-chair from the National Assembly, I think now the basis of my mistrust has been confirmed. because you have made it clear, and at least I have understood you to mean, that the sole intention of the members of the National Assembly who are a part of this mediation is to use this mediation to blackmail the entire county government infrastructure so that you get what you want. When the Constitution under Article 96 talks about us as a Senate being representatives of the county governments and their interest, it doesn't mean that I am the legal representative of the county governments or their lawyers. We are not their lawyers. So I find it extremely disingenuous and very disrespectful for members of this committee to suggest that we can find a way to have a sitting with the county governors so that we force them to withdraw a case that they have filed under their constitutional right to question things in courts of law. So if indeed the entire reason for this mediation is so that the National Assembly can blackmail all of us so that they get what they want, then there is no reason for us to sit here. Honorable Chair, it has become extremely clear that the Division of Revenue now has been taken hostage by the National Assembly, and it will not be released until they get their RMLF money. The chair from the National Assembly doesn't want to mention a fund because he knows this is what they do every single time. The fund he has refused to mention is the CDF. Last time, because there was a court case, they used this process to manipulate and to blackmail all of us so that they get what they want. It is extremely unfair. And because Honorable Undo has taken time to read to me my roles, I also want to remind him that under Article 95(2), the National Assembly is required to resolve issues of concern to the people, not issues of concern to members of the National Assembly. It cannot be that you always front-load issues of CDF and RMLF because they are of concern to members of the National Assembly, not of concern to the people. Even when you are mentioning this issue of the presidential memorandum, you are threatening us that we will not be able to raise 2/3 in both houses. Yet, just last week, a few weeks ago, there was a grave matter here where raising 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly and the Senate was not a problem. Where have those 2/3 gone? No wonder the public are criticizing us, that when it is issues to do with us, politicians, it's very easy for us to raise these numbers. But when it is questions to do with the public, Honorable Oundo, in your county in Busia, the question of CHPs, the question of the state of healthcare is a matter of concern to the people. The question of water in Nairobi is a question of concern to the people. It should be the foremost thinking of any member of the National Assembly, because that is what 95(2) requires you to do. So, Chair, me, I was hoping, because the tone that had been taken, I have not finished. And you are in our chamber, you should also allow us to feel that we are playing from the home ground. This is our home ground. Honorable Chair, let me finish. We are a home ground, how do you know so? Chair, now I've even lost my train of thought. I had not finished, you know. So I had seen some light at the end of the tunnel from the presentation by Honorable Ochieng, that the issues were identified. Can we begin by being explained to, as a Senate, the thinking behind your amendment to Section 3 of the Act? Why is it, as a principle now, as members of Parliament, can Parliament take a position and say, this is going to be the principle going forward? If there's a shortfall in national revenue, who should bear that responsibility? So that next year and the year after that is not an issue. And we don't fight about that. Then we move progressively the way that he had listed those issues. He has said, and we had acknowledged, those of us from the Senate, that this issue of the RMLF is important to the members of the National Assembly. We had agreed that we will have to find a way to make a statement about that. How is that not enough, Honorable Oundo? As an assurance from you that we also consider this issue a big issue. But it is a personal issue. It's a personal issue to members of the National Assembly. It is not a matter that is personal to the people. So, Honorable, he's disrupting my train of thought. Honorable Chair, so can we be told now by the members of the National Assembly, are they saying that unless we have a solution, unless we assure Honorable Undo that I'll go and find the Council of Governors and tell them to withdraw their case, that this mediation cannot go on? Is that what they are saying? Because if that is what they are saying, then we can also draw certain lines in the sand. We will not be used to blackmail other institutions that we have no control over.
Honorable Undo.
First of all, I want to put it on record. RLMF is not for members of Parliament. CDF is not for the members of Parliament. The roads are not for members of Parliament. They don't use the roads exclusively. They are for the people of Kenya. CDF is not petty cash for members of parliament. It is for the people of Kenya, the poor boys and girls in the various schools in this country, who make sure they get classrooms, they get dormitories, they get laboratories, they get bursary. We need to take this notion out of senators that CDF, RLMF is petty cash for members of parliament. It is not. It is for the people of Kenya. Would then as well argue that the money given to the counties is for the governors, so that they can carry chairs with them wherever they go, carpets wherever they go. We're not going to that point of view. We are simply saying we need to resolve the issues at hand. And we are telling you, senators, we need to look at the end of this mediation. This mediation is not ending here. Finally, it has to go to the National Assembly. And we are being very honest with you. Yeah, but finally, remember, at the end of the day, the final place is the National Assembly. If, as we clearly say, if we fail to agree, we read an existing law which will serve for the rest of the financially. So we need to be very realistic and be very accommodative to each other. We are simply saying, when you come to equity, you must come with clean hands, period.
Because I know we're responding back and forth. The co-chair presented some issues, and he made reference to the National Assembly severally, where he sits as a chair of budget. It's very important to have something clear. You know, for me from morning, my discussion has been objectivity. And you may not see the point, but as we continue, you will see the point of that objectivity and how important it is. The jurisdiction or responsibility of this committee is limited to division of revenue. Number one. Number two, the decision by the committee on numbers will definitely give rise to the need to do Supplementary 2 and Appropriation Act. Nothing is cast in stone. It's going to happen one way or the other. Supplementaries have been prepared on flimsy grounds in the past in this country, and it has been passed. But 47 county governments being impacted, necessitating a supplementary budget is not something unforeseen. Number three, the precarious situation that we discussed is a reality of the law and procedures. It is what it is. Number four, so that it's very clear, I was hoping that we do what is in our mandate as a mediation committee on the amendment of DORA, so that then if we execute what is in our mandate, we worry about the second stage, which is now both houses. And I'm very sorry, Honorable Undo and my co-chair has kept on referring, the buck stops at the National Assembly. If that was the case, we would not be seated in this mediation. You would have ruled on what you rule and passed what you see fit, and then it passes. The reason why we are here is it will go back to both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. Meaning, even if the National Assembly agrees, passes, refuses, it will still have to come back to this house. And without us agreeing and finding a point of convergence, we are not going anywhere. So this is how the Constitution is framed, unfortunately. Now, no, unfortunately for the views you hold in terms of it goes to National Assembly. If it doesn't pass, then that is the end of it in that issue. Now, division of revenue, and I'm only concentrating on statement of fact, nothing emotional, nothing about who feels what. Division of revenue governs the vertical share of revenue between the national government and county government. RMLF is a product of a fund legislated by an act of parliament collected by Kenya Revenue Board to be appropriated between national trunk roads and county roads. And it has to be very clear in terms of these are all facts. Now, as to whether I feel the National Assembly should be doing the county roads or the Kera Kura should be doing the county roads or that, because that is within the law. You know, when we discussed, and I was there as a governor, the discussion was national trunk roads or national roads and county roads. Now, RMLF are funds collected by an act of parliament by Kenya Roads Board. Now, tying RMLF to vertical share of revenue or nationally collected revenue in terms of DORA becomes a bit unfortunate in terms of discussion. Because if the mandate is mixed up, then we're not going anywhere. I would really love this discussion to be a very heated discussion in the next mediation of county additional allocation, where that issue lies. Now, sincerely speaking, because I did not come this morning for purpose of outsmarting each other in terms of discussion, we have a mandate. The mandate is very clear, confined to division of revenue, amendment bill as proposed by the National Assembly, passed by the National Assembly, amended by the Senate, and we have to find convergence. I want us to take a break with only one objective. Please, honorable members, and from the National Assembly, I'm pleading with you through the chair. If the mentality you've come to this meeting with is that there is no mediation unless RMLF is resolved, then you're not going anywhere. You better call off the meeting. You know, in all sincerity. If the objective, listen, if the objective of us coming to this meeting is adjudicating on our mandate of division of revenue amendment bill, then let's come back and frame the issues. And the issues are very simple. I agree 300% with what Honorable David Ochen has framed. Now we can then objectively discuss one item at a time, and we can have back and forth to a point of agreement on the issues. And please, so that I want to give another chance, because we need to have a principle of engagement so that we move from tying one issue that is not related to the issue at hand together. We take a break and we come back with a solution to the problem at hand. Thank you very much, my co-chair. Over to you.
As we go to the break, Honorable Sifuna is my brother. And I want to be very, very honest with you on the issues you raised. And please forgive me if I refer to other mediations. It's not a proof of experience. It is a proof of I've been there, I saw. Last time when we met with the Council of Governors, and I'll be very bare on it, I was lucky to get governors who've been members of parliament, together with the other governors. The chair, outgoing chair of COG was there. Honorable Anga was there. I actually never said it. Honorable Anga was very forthright with them. He told them, as you negotiate, these are the right political advice that you may get. So if we want to sound sophisticated and we want to sound very official, I'll go with Honorable Sifuna. Let's raise the issues. Let's even conclude our mediation meeting today, and we proceed to the National Assembly. If that is what we want, we are very agreeable. However, I don't think the mandate of this mediation is to finish the meeting quickly. Neither is it to present the report. From where I sit, the mandate of this mediation is to successfully unlock the monies. If that is what we have in mind, Honorable Sifuna, unfortunately, we will not run away from the fact that this report will end up in the Senate, and this report will end up in the National Assembly. And for sure, as the light comes in the morning, Honorable Sifuna, is that without addressing the underlying issues, I am just being honest. Let me finish. I am not. I have been there. I know for sure. No.
Senator Sifuna, allow him to finish, please.
Honorable Sifuna,
finish.
You know the same thing, the same reasoning, and I'm telling you, today just come to the National Assembly, interact with members. In fact, I usually feel the cases around the FAD are always now the blackmail. The reasoning of the Senate, as you say, The reasoning of the National Assembly is that the COG uses the case to blackmail the process. And that is the fact. So we can move forward, but I've given you the atmosphere in the National Assembly. And we can't run away from it.
My proposal, Chair, just one thing. My proposal, now that we have added the comments, why don't we adjourn until next week, and then maybe when we meet, we will have handled most of the issues. Yeah.
Chair, you refused me to speak, and
you know, Honorable Kiplagat, I guided that we don't just pick the mic and speak, so that we're able to get a bit of discussion in an orderly manner.
Chair, please don't assume.
You know, we are not getting anywhere. It's not issue of counter-argument. I just want to say we take, with all the facts having said, the issue is whether we discuss today, we discuss next week, the underlying issues will not end. With the clear mandate of this committee, can we take a break of about 20 minutes, please? We consult and we come back here with whether we can agree on the mandate of the committee as guided by both houses, or because of the impending controversial issue, we suspend the discussion. Because why I say this is because unless we have it clear, we can move forward, Honorable Co-Chair. Okay, now can we just take the 20 minutes break, all of us? We come back after 20 minutes. Please consult during that 20 minutes as to, remember, I don't, you know, going through an exercise in futility is not good. You understand? Because if you believe we're not going to make any progress and it's a predetermined position, then no matter how objective issues are shared, we are not going to progress, right? I think consult, and it's that is the essence of mediation. A little bit of break, consult, and the honorable senators have offered you can use the lounge next door, the Senate lounge, and we can be left in here. I think it's lunchtime. You can have. I think okay. I had not looked at the time, considering it's almost 1 o'clock. I think it's even more logical that we take 1 hour lunch break and we reconvene here. Secretariat, lunch is provided for this. Okay. Courtesy of the chair, the chair of Budget and Appropriation. Senate is not properly funded. So you can reach at the National Assembly. Thank you very much. I think the meeting is adjourned. We reconvene at 2 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Maybelline New York New Lifter Plump.